Hello, and welcome to Concussion Legacy Foundation's July 2023 PSV meeting. Today, we're going to be discussing active listening, part 1. My name is Tyler Ambrose, and I am the Peer Support Coordinator at Concussion Legacy Foundation. I'm your go-to guy. If you have any questions, any needs, please email me at tambrose@concussionfoundation.org. I want to take a second to thank you all for participating in the mentorship program. You're all pretty familiar with the program. A little bit of information though. The mentorship program is a one-to-one interpersonal connection style matching between those who have gone through a recovery process or have experience with caregiving. And we match you with those who are just starting their journey or in need of support. You are not counselors, you're not mental health therapists, you're not psychologists, you are peers that have lived experience that could be beneficial. What that means is that you guys are essential to the mentorship program. And without you, this mentorship program would not exist. And I thank you for being so incredibly helpful to all the mentees that you've connected with. Why we do these trainings is that we want to give you as much information and tools to develop the best interpersonal connections that you can within the mentorship program. Today, we're going to go over a high-level overview of active listening, where we'll talk about key concepts, benefits, tools, and the next steps. Thank you guys for making time for watching and listening to this training. And at the end of the training, we'll have a list of all of our resources and source materials that we used for this training. Before we jump in, a good training topic to think about is how can we ensure a mentee feels heard, understood, and validated? Listening is a skill. We all know someone that makes us feel heard and understood. They give us validation, and it's meaningful affirmation that a person's feelings are understandable and worthwhile. This is a really important outcome of good listening. So let's jump in. Active listening. This is listening with the intent to understand the other person fully, then providing appropriate feedback to demonstrate shared understanding. Let's quickly go over the benefits of active listening. We have empathy. With empathy, active listening encourages mentees to put their attention on themselves and focus on articulating their emotions. This helps you as a mentor show authentic empathy, where you truly understand and relate to their feelings. Next, we have companionship. This is really beneficial because showing authentic empathy can help mentees feel like they're navigating difficulties in the company of a caring listener. You providing that companionship through a difficult time makes them not feel so isolated or alone. Third benefit is relief. Helping someone feel heard and validated, it can ease such a big emotional burden, and it reduces stress, confusion, and the isolation that so many mentees feel. It's a very big benefit of active listening. Our last one is empowerment. Through empathy, companionship, and relief, these benefits can provide greater self-esteem and self-awareness simply through your willingness to hear them. You empower the mentees to make their own choices and talk about their problems openly in a trusted environment. So within active listening, we want to go over some key concepts. And I think that the stoplight really is a beneficial way to look at comprehension, retention, and response. It's the most basic form in these steps. And so let's go over a brief diagnosis. Comprehension, listening with the intent to fully understand your mentee's intended message. Retention, taking steps to confirm and build upon the message. And response, providing appropriate feedback to demonstrate mutual understanding. Let's dive in just a little bit deeper into those. So comprehension, it's not listening to respond. Our first instinct is often to offer advice and reassurance and to explain our own position and feelings. It's our way of connecting. Listening to respond leaves us at risk of trying to respond using flawed assumptions. This makes it harder to show authentic empathy by truly understanding what someone is saying. So in order to fix that, we have to slow down to ensure we understand their meaning before responding. So active listening, it's listening to understand and then respond. For our yellow light, we have retention. This is kind of like our pause and think. Often we want so badly to fix a problem, we forget the importance of helping mentees find solutions at their own pace. Using this type of internal reflection, slowing down is key to comprehension and retention. By pausing for reflection, we can resist the listen to respond reflex and instead do the listen to understand reflex. When we're likely to understand, internalize, and remember when we pause and reflect on what someone is saying. For this reason, active listening is sometimes called reflective listening. One way to achieve internal reflection is using minimal encouragers, which we'll go over. Now, minimal encouragers is kind of a wonky term, but we'll use it for this training for the purpose that it serves. Minimal encouragers are a variety of verbal and nonverbal actions, which are intended to subtly encourage a person to continue talking and to help convey your interest and understanding in what they're saying. This ensures we remain present so that we can do our best to ensure that the individual feels heard, listened to, and valued. Some of these examples might include, wow, I see. Tell me more. Those are verbal cues. Some nonverbal cues might include facial expressions such as raising eyebrows, eye contact, nodding the head, and having an open and warm posture that seems like, you're receptive instead of crossing your arms and being huddled up. So if you guys are over Zoom, this is important. Otherwise, for verbal over the phone is a much better option. And if we're speaking through text, we just have to be careful of our wording. Sometimes we can use emojis. They can be beneficial or difficult to use, but be cautious unless you have a good interpersonal connection where, there's not a lot of tension and not a lot of ways that the emojis can be misconstrued. So it's better to start off with, direct language. And then as the relationship or the connection starts to feel more personal and open, you can throw some emojis in there when you're feeling comfortable. And now we have our response, our green light. This is where we've, listened. We've had time to reflect on what they're saying, and now we're going to respond in an appropriate manner. So you can do that one of three ways. You can paraphrase, explain what you believe has been said in your own words. Don't mimic exactly what they say, but kind of transition the words into something that is similar to what they've said, but in your own words, so it shows you've been listening. Next is clarify. Ensure you understand what has been said through asking questions. This is really good because it shows the mentee that you're listening and you're more interested in them continuing on about their problems rather than just trying to fix them. And lastly, you have summarize. Offer a concise overview of what you believe the main points and intent of the message received are. Doing so kind of shows that you've been there the whole time. You're in this with them and that you understand what their point of view is and where their stance is. That's it for our training topic for this time. We're going to continue more in part 2. This is a volunteer active listening checklist. This is phenomenal to use as a resource during your connections. It has a great list of, check boxes that you can mark off in the ways that you actually contribute active listening to your connection. You can find this in the summary email that we send out to you, along with this on the same sheet as this video description. Next training, we're going to go over that active listening checklist a little bit deeper. We'll dive into it. Then for the training aspect, we're going to go over the 4 levels of active listening. These levels have shown to improve interpersonal connections and dialogue. They include downloading, factual, empathetic, and generative. We're going to go more in depth in part 2 of our training, which will be later on in August. During that training, we're also going to talk about some unique situations for concussion patient volunteers, concussion caregiver volunteers, and CTE caregiver volunteers. We want to be able to make sure that everyone has a good understanding of their connection and how they can use this in their connection. Then we'll jump into some breakout rooms, and we'll finish up with a group Q&A. If you have any questions about this for our August training, please reach out to me and let me know. Some personal reflection prompts or questions that you can ask yourself before we meet next. Have you used active listening in your mentorship connections? And what are some barriers to active listening? These prompts are meant for you to answer on your own. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out. And lastly, this is our sources and references page. So this is where we gather all of our information. And if you have any questions about the information that we've gathered, please reach out to me and let me know. Thank you all so much. I appreciate the time that it took for you all to listen and watch in on this video. And we're stronger together.